Hello, my name is Judy Mosley, and this is the What's Good podcast. This is episode 1. This is my little experiment to diversify conversations and just focus on the things in life that are good and helpful and inspiring and this doing something for fun and for joy, even though we might be a little bit scared about it. So I have with me Dr. Isabel Evans. Isabel, I know you from the Women in Testing Slack channel. Why I have you here on this podcast today is because when I talk to you, you are so receptive to other people's ideas. You reflect back on thoughts. Like, even, I don't think I've ever heard you use the phrase, I'd like to challenge that. Or like one of the big phrases I hear a lot now is push back. I'd rather not push back on the people around me because I think that keeps us far away from each other versus curiosity. And I love the way that you speak to people and you are curious. And whether that comes naturally or that's learned, I'd love to know more about that too. But yeah, I just love being with you. And you've hung with me in different spaces, and I'm so glad to have you with me today.
Well, Judy, I mean, thank you for inviting me. I was really happy and pleased and kind of, no, flattered's not the right word. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I thought, she wants me on and it's the first one, and I was, that's really nice. So, I'm pleased to be here, and I like the idea of having a conversation about the good things, some of the good things that are happening, and how we can reflect on what's good and not always be down a tunnel of despair, as it were. Yeah,
The
yeah.
tunnel is so long.
It is, and I mean, I've been in tunnels of despair myself, and when you come out the other end of them, you almost can't believe you've done that. But so I think as an individual, we can be doing that, and sometimes you have to go through it to come out to the other side. But when you're not in it, then you almost need to take extra care to say, right, what's positive. And I think as well, I mean, I don't want to talk a lot. I don't want to talk at all actually about politics or anything like that. But
Yeah.
there's a lot politically, globally, environmentally, socially, technically going on,
Yeah.
which is a cause for concern. But if we just focus on the sort of despair, then we'd perhaps never see a way through. Yeah.
Yeah. I've experienced that a lot, and I think that I feel like there's two different tunnels where it's like sometimes life will put you in a tunnel. I mean, and there's no choice. Like someone dies, you lose your job, you find yourself in a place that it's not good and you need to get out. There's all these like life circumstances, and then there's like I don't want to say that, oh, we can choose to look away, because I don't want it to be like that. But like you mentioned, there's so much going on in the world, and it's like if I stare at that too long, my eyes bleed and and I
Yeah.
get immobile, and there's not many. This is why I struggle with the news, because it's like I would love it if at the end of each news segment they would say, and if you'd like to support blah blah blah, you can go here, like some kind of action, but there never is. And I'm just like, oh, so much
I th-
overwhelm.
I think
So
that's a superb point to make, because I think part of it is about Well, actually, even when you talked about the life tunnels,
Yeah.
you know, what do you do about it? What do
Yes.
you do about it if somebody you're close to dies?
Yeah.
What do you do about it if you're ill? What do you do about it if you lose your job? And in the same way, if you look at political stuff, big scale stuff, what do you do about it?
Yeah.
And it's that I think what is difficult is the things that are outside our control.
Hmm.
And you kind of have to take a deep breath with those and not dismiss them. You
Hmm.
know, it's no good kind of going, well, I need to snap out of this, or so and so needs to snap out of it, is the phrase. But you know, just get over it, go out for a nice walk, and you'll feel better. Because it's not it's not like that
Yeah.
sometimes. And I think where you've said that about the stuff in the news, similarly, there's a lot that you can't do a lot about, and a lot that it's reasonable to feel unhappy about.
Hmm.
But maybe there are small things that you can do,
Hmm.
or things that will lead on to larger things. And maybe that for some people is volunteering, or maybe it's contributing something to a charity, or maybe it's taking care to be kind to everybody you meet today.
Hmm.
I saw a podcast the other day. Miriam Margolyes, the comedian and actress, was one of the people being interviewed, and she said, "We just need to all remember that we're all human,
Yeah.
and be humane to each other, and if everybody just did that." So you know, we can't alter other people's behaviours, but
Hmm.
we can manage our own.
Hmm.
And you said very kindly at the beginning, you know, that I don't challenge and push back. Believe me, I have done in my time.
Hmm.
I've been quite a difficult person, I think, for other people to work with sometimes.
Hmm.
And I make an effort. I make an effort to try and be reasonable to other people,
Hmm.
even if I don't agree with them. I don't
Hmm.
always find that easy. It's that, you know, it takes an effort. I'm not a natural team player, but I know
Oh,
that
okay.
teamwork's important, you know.
Hmm. That's interesting though. I remember a few years back, I was sitting with a friend and we hadn't talked to each other in a long time. I mean, we'd kept in touch, but it wasn't like we'd had those, solid catching up conversations. And we went on a trip together. Like we'd always said like, "Oh, we'd love to go to the beach. Let's go to the beach together." And and so we went, and it was lovely. It was cold. It was in April, but I had this big yellow coat on, and she said I looked like sunshine on the beach, like from the hotel, just like bobbing up and down the beach. But we were in a conversation, and she said something that my initial response was like, "Are you serious?" But then it hit me. I was like, "Oh, this is the time to be, like you said, kind." Like my friend and I have diverged over the years in ideologies. And what do I want this trip to be about? It, like, do I want to be like, you really believe that? Or is it, oh, she's changed and I need to know more. Um, and yeah, has there been a time for you where you've experienced something similar, or you said you weren't a team, you aren't always a team player, which is I kind of love that because I did not know that about you, but it's like, were there moments when you realized like, wait, there's something bigger happening and I need to lean into this differently?
Yes. I'm just trying to think because the examples that have come to mind are quite personal and not something I'd want to go into detail about on a
Sure.
podcast. But yes, suddenly realizing that perhaps I need to be more attentive to somebody, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, also the other way round, sometimes to be less attentive, if you like,
Hmm.
to step back.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily it's not necessarily always that you need to do more, but you
Mm.
need to be aware of what your boundaries are and what
Mm-hmm.
the other person's boundaries are and what both your needs are and
Mm-hmm.
how those can blend together, I think. And I think if you're talking about friends or relatives, you're doing that in one way.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually also think it's important with work relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're at work, I don't think it's necessary that you like the people you work with,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be able to respect them and trust them, and
Mm-hmm.
they have to be able to respect and trust you. And I think sometimes that means you have to know that maybe you've got quite different views about certain things that are outside work, and you kind of park that,
Mm-hmm.
and what you focus on is this thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is perhaps, how are we going to manage the next bit of this project, or what should that bit of code look like, or how many more tests, how much more testing do we think we need to do before we're feeling confident? Those types of conversations. It doesn't matter if you've got completely different political views or completely different backgrounds or whatever else. It's about not letting that shade the conversation you're having now.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's friend or family,
Mm-hmm.
it's slightly more complicated. So I have got a couple of friends where for one or two topics I've said to them, do you know what, I think it's better if we agree we're not going to talk about that subject because
Mm-hmm.
our views are so different. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just not go down that route.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's all these other things that we can talk about and that we've got in common. So
Yes.
let's concentrate on those. See, I think that's quite an important thing to be able to do. But it's taken me a long time to realise that that for me that's what works. Does that fit with what you're meaning?
Yes. Yeah. I think so because like coming back to the conversation, well, like I have three kids, um,
Mm,
and my oldest is in the Air Force, and then I have uh, my middle child. She graduated high school last year, and then my youngest is going to be senior this year.
mm-hmm,
And I feel like every day it's asking that same question of like, what does this relationship need to be about?
mm,
Because
mm,
there's there's a lot of agreeing, not agreeing, what makes sense, um, and young brains are still forming and having
mm-hmm,
respect for that, having
mm-hmm,
patience for that. Sorry for the
mm-hmm,
eye roll. I know I did it, but it's um, having patience, being kind, but also like setting boundaries and saying, "Hey, I can do this much. Beyond this, I can't do more, and you
yeah,
need to be aware."
yeah, yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, with kids, absolutely, and then also in the workplace. I mean, I think of my role specifically as in quality, where it's kind of easy to take on more than you should.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
and so figuring out like where the boundaries are. It's fine if I help over here for short term, but in the end, this, like, as I spend time here, I'm not spending time here. So
Yes. Yes.
what are the expectations? What do we want?
Yeah.
Like, what do we really, really, really want?
Yeah.
And those type of conversations can drive direction, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think being able to have those conversations is useful for one's managers as well,
Mm-hmm.
because they won't necessarily know how long certain sorts of things take.
Mm-hmm.
They might have a view that they want you to spend more time with this new team than with the previous team. You have a conversation about how you backfill this work that you were doing. They might not want you to work with that team and to stay over here. Okay, so how do we deal with the fact that this other team needs... But I think being open about those moments... So actually, see, I think that this is interesting. I think when you work in quality,
Mm-hmm.
certainly for me, I always go across the boundaries of what I've been set, because I can
Yeah.
see that the root causes, the problems are over there, you know, and so I need to go and deal with those root causes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not always really what I should be doing.
Mm.
And it can be a very good thing,
Mm-hmm.
therefore, to go outside your boundaries. But I think the way of doing that is via conversations with management about, I think that's the root problem.
Mm-hmm.
How can we deal with it so that, you know, all the jigsaw puzzle pieces get rearranged?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, and I wonder how much we get into these roles, like quality, or actually roles in risk management and things like that, because our minds are looking at the big picture
Mm-hmm.
and not just at this thing where we've got right in front of us.
Yeah. It makes me think of how I sometimes refer to myself as the professional creeper. Like, I'm
Beautiful.
I'm in every Slack channel and I'm looking at all the dev conversations, and there's a benefit to that because one instance comes to mind where, like, one team made a change and they deployed it, and then this other team is having a really hard time because something's not working, and I pointed this team to the other team and I'm like, hey, like, they're having conversations over here and I think this is what's happening, and in the end that's what it was. But I think the bigger thing was that the development team wasn't communicating as a whole.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I think back then, you can't, I have, yes, I do sometimes just be like, yes, I creep on everything and I know everything that's going on. And that doesn't help other people look around, and like, avoiding silos is like one of my biggest things now, because I think I think there's a lot of easy ways for conversations to get lost, whether it be a DM or yeah, I've there's a little bit of a danger of being the professional creeper and then also not encouraging others to uh, go be creepy. like find out what's going on, start talking to each other. What like what changes were made, why are things happening in this specific direction. Yeah, I think my role, it 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 bends to observation, which is wonderful. But if other people aren't observing either, that's not, like, all of us in the end should be observing and putting the
Yes.
puzzle pieces together.
Yes. I wonder if there's something in there in the middle of that, which is that it's very valuable to have somebody who is almost like a catalyst So that you observe and then you cause somebody else to also do that observation, or you cause that communication to happen, but you're not doing the communication. So if you were going between those teams yourself, you would get them into a position where they were reliant on you, which would not be healthy. Whereas if you go to both teams and say, do you know what, if you talk to each other, I think you might both learn something. I'm going over there now. It's up to
I'm
you.
gonna go get some coffee.
I'm off. You have my half penny worth. No. You're the experts in this. Go talk to each other. It's almost it's about being able to. So I think there is elements of coaching and teaching and encouraging and being a catalyst, but it's a way of doing that where a lot of the time you are letting other people do it, encouraging them to do it. Letting's the wrong word. It sounds like you're in charge.
Yeah.
But I think that's really important, because otherwise, if we think the job is is testing things and reporting bugs, then all we're doing is sitting there continuously going, oh, you got that wrong, and you got that wrong, and you got that wrong. So one of the things there is to also be saying, this is really good, and that's really good, and this bit worked, and you've done a great job there, because then they know you're not just sitting there snitting at them when you're not actually being horrible, but it's also about it's about saying, this is when we could have resolved that before, we could have got this earlier. Here's something you could do. Could we improve this bit? And so it's about almost it's about preempting things. I'm just remembering. So this is years ago when I was kind of in the depths of doing testing a lot, and one of the reasons. So this is quite old-fashioned, I know, but one of the reasons I like to design and draw up tests before I got my hands on the code and started testing. So whatever requirement, design, user story, or anything, what's this for? I would start designing tests, and because of the way my mind works, I would write them all down, and then I would take them to the developers and say, I'm thinking of running these tests. Do you think these look like the results that I should be expecting? And quite often then they'd either be saying, yeah, that's going to work. Oh, hang on, you think it should? Well, I know, hang on. And it was always like before they'd written the code, or as they were writing the code. So by the time it got to me actually running those tests, they kind of all went through, and yes, you do more exploring around and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was teaching test techniques once, saying this to the group, and somebody said to me, but isn't that cheating? And I was just like, what do you mean? And so, well, you're giving them, you're telling them in advance what you're going to do. And I thought that was such an interesting, to me, quite flawed view of the developer-tester relationship. Because for me, I think if you're testing really well, including having a good relationship with people who are doing the development of the code, or doing the coding, doing the designs, is you are helping them look better.
Yeah.
You're actually enabling them to shine. You're not against them, you're with them, you're supporting them.
Yeah. I've said it to other developers. I say it tongue in cheek, but it's like, I know you're going to get the credit anyway. So if we find all the bugs, you'll really get the credit.
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
exactly.
and
Exactly.
having acknowledgement is nice for sure, but it's like, but yeah, and I'm actually thinking if we were to pull this full circle, learning to trust each other, not forgetting about our differences, but saying like that's not the important thing. The important thing is that we're working together. We're both creating something we're going to be proud of in the end. Like that's the end goal. And I feel like, especially when it comes to ideological differences or, any other thing, if someone if someone can trust you with their career and how their code goes out and how they're like if they know that you have their best interest, maybe if those topics come up again, they know that your intent is not to catch them, because it sounds like that
Yeah,
what that
yeah,
student was saying is like, oh, we almost want to catch we want to catch the bugs
yeah,
and we want to catch the developer
yeah,
failing. It's like, no, that's not at all. No, that'd be awful. Because sometimes you just, especially as testers, we do nutso stuff. I know I have tested in ways that, I send steps to reproduce, and the dev is like, "Are you kidding me? Like, this is what you did?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." um, and they fixed it, which is great. But yeah, but having that intent of I'm here for you. I'm not here to snag you. I want things to be good so we can both move on and feel good about what we're doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I haven't always remembered to do that. Early in my career, I was very much into destroying everything in my path as I was testing, and then gleefully dancing on the ruins. It took me a while to realise that's just not reasonable behaviour. So, I apologise now to any developers back in the 1970s and 80s who's, who I upset by
Yeah.
being unduly ridiculous about what I was doing. Yeah.
That's
I do
amazing.
something. This is kind of related as well. I think
Hmm.
I'm remembering one of the first management consultants I worked with, who was in the same company as me, and I remember him saying to me one day, "Everybody's right from their point of view,"
Mm,
and that I think is quite that I found very valuable so thinking about what do we mean by the word quality, and there's multiple viewpoints about what we mean by quality, lots and lots of definitions. Somebody called Garvin did a really good sort of breakdown of there's different ways you can look at it and you get quite different results depending on how you define it. There's different viewpoints about testing and what it includes. There's different viewpoints about quality engineering and what it includes, and so on and so forth.
hmm.
And actually, I think a lot of the time, when you look at what people are arguing about, they are all right from their point of view.
Hmm.
The way they're seeing the world, how their workplace works, the type of technology they're working with, the scope they've been given by management,
Hmm.
all of those things mean that there will be a certain way that they will be looking at things. And they're not going to be wrong, they're going to be working in a different context to the
Hmm.
context that one is in oneself. So yeah, I think that helps you not argue with people unnecessarily.
Hmm. Yeah. Because you don't know. I'm just thinking about, even like we're all remote. Well, not all. There's a lot of emphasis on back to office, but it's just like an office space is going to be different than a remote environment and what's happening in the remote environment. and what are they dealing with outside of work, and what are they dealing with at work? What are the cultures like? And yeah, there's so many ingredients that make up someone's experiences, and you just dismissing them is not. It just doesn't get you. It won't get you where you want to go, I don't think.
No,
Yeah.
no. Whereas the question about sort of a gentle why as opposed to a pushing back why.
Yeah.
Yeah, explain to me why that's important for you. We do it this way because what's the reason you do it that way? Now we can see what the differences are. I mean, even things like where you're working in the technology stack. If you're working at the organizational system end of the world, some of your testing isn't even going to be about software. It's going to be about business process or even buildings and how they work. And if you're working down very close to the hardware, then the whole way you go about your work will be quite different. And in those two cases, sometimes people say things very broadly, don't they? Like, I don't know, I'm kind of making this up, but you'll hear somebody giving a talk and saying, test coverage is a bad thing. But, I mean, when?
Yeah.
Because what is it? What are you covering? And it might be very appropriate. So if you're testing business processes, it might be very appropriate to make sure you've tested all the routes down that business process, and that's your coverage. If you're working down at the hardware level, it might be very appropriate to make sure you've gone through all the protocol converters, and that's your coverage. It's kind of like it's. I think as an industry, as a subset of an industry, we spend too much time arguing about things where there's probably more agreement than necessarily, actual real difference.
That's good. Well, we are at time.
Have
Is
we
it?
said some good things?
I think
Have,
so.
have we?
I think so.
What would you summarise out of this? What's the what have we said that's good and encouraging for people?
Yeah. I think shoot,
I think
making
building relationships with other people with understanding.
and you don't have to agree to get something done. I think there's a lot that could be done, but we're so stuck on, oh, well, so and so doesn't think like I do. That's okay. there's,
Yeah,
there's things that
yeah,
can be cleaned up and taken care of without us agreeing on things.
yeah,
And just respecting other people's experiences, because we don't know, like social media, LinkedIn, well, yeah, any external space, we only get to see what they're making, and that is never the complete picture. That's never the whole person.
yes. And actually, if you're face to face with somebody at work, you're still not seeing what their home life's like, or what happened to them this morning on the way to work, or what they're going to have to go home to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It can.
yes.
I think I'll close by this. I was out in my garden. I'm a terrible gardener. Like it's so bad. Like there's weeds everywhere. I have gotten 2 patty pan squash. Very excited. Like that's a success.
Excellent.
But I had my hose out and I was watering the garden, and I always knew that rainbows were circles. But you never get to see them because they're so big in the sky. But the sun was like at just the right angle behind me, and I had my hose like up in the air, and I was like, oh wait, like it's going all the way down. So I started playing with the angles, and I saw a whole rainbow.
Oh,
And I was just
oh,
like, that's people. Like we you have to look at like all these, or even my own life. If I'm looking at, I can never see my, it's like I only get to see bits and pieces, and then like I learn this new thing, or I look at something this different way, and it's like, oh, that's the whole, but you can't see it like immediately.
yeah.
So
That's so wise.
yeah,
I think that's so important to remember.
yeah,
So, all the more reason for respect and listening and kindness to each other and accepting you've got different viewpoints. Yeah.
yeah. I think that's good. I think that's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Isabel, for joining me. This was so fun.
Thank you for
And
having.
yeah, we'll see where this goes. So, all right.
Okay. Thank you
Take
for
care.
having me. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.